So I work with indigenous communities in Latin America, mainly in Guatemala and Argentina, trying to understand how the environment interacts with our biology to shape reproductive patterns. And I'm interested in women's fertility from a life course perspective. I'm also interested in how children grow and how the experiences they go through early during development shape their future health. In particular, this is our second year of a 5-year project, longitudinal project that looks at life transitions. We are following a group of babies as they go through the weaning from the breast transition, a group of girls as they go through puberty, and a group of older women as they go through menopause. And we combine both biological with cultural and social measures in trying to have a better picture of what is it like to be an indigenous woman going through those changes. Sometimes it's impossible to disentangle biology from culture. They are very much feeding into each other. And one of our latest studies shows how women experience menopause very differently, depending on the cultural context. So we did a comparative pilot study with indigenous women in northern Argentina and their non-indigenous neighbors. And it's very interesting to see the contrast in the way they experience what we consider to be normal menopausal symptoms. Toba women, for example, don't even have a term in their vocabulary for menopause. They don't see it as a change in their life. It's completely inconsequential. So any of the vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes and things like that, it's attributed to the hot weather in the region, which is very hot. You move 10 kilometers into this non-indigenous neighborhood and you have the whole range of the menopausal symptoms. So even though the embodiment, the key point is that the embodiment of the symptoms is very different depending on the culture. And that was a fascinating finding for us. I can think of many, many different examples, but I can give you one from the indigenous population I'm working with. The Toba, which live in northern Argentina, they have a postpartum sexual taboo by which they do not engage in sexual relationships until the baby can walk. And babies are not really encouraged to walk like we do, and they don't start walking until they are maybe 18, 19 months old. So that is a cultural practice that shapes interbirth intervals. So this practice, which is still very much respected in most of these indigenous communities, helps shape the timing of births in this community. In our society, for example, our own culture, Western culture, places a lot of emphasis on autonomy and independence. So now we see that achieving a degree, it's an important hallmark. So age at first birth is being modulated and shaped by educational progress. And the way we understand how culture shapes biology needs to be emphasized in the sense that we cannot, and I will say that again, we cannot really say, well, this is strictly cultural or this is strictly biological, because they talk to each other all the time. In another case that I thought was the case of child marriages in some African and Asian countries, that culture dictates that marriages are arranged and maybe the girl is too young to start reproducing herself, and her body, her biology is not ready to start her reproductive life, but culture forces that, and that shapes her entire reproductive career and her entire pattern of reproductive health. So we definitely need to pay attention to cultural variation and cultural context in which our biology expresses itself. I think the key word here is variation. It's important to emphasize that human aging comes in different flavors, and humans age differently in different contexts. And that is what my research focuses on. I'm interested in understanding how this variation in aging trajectories may reflect a certain human design. So I'm an evolutionary biologist, and I see different trajectories as responding to challenges from the environment. So questions such as, how come Toba women experience menopause at age 44, 45, which is 5-6 years earlier than in industrialized communities? That is not just noise. That variation means something. And I'm trying to understand whether the whole life trajectory of these populations may reflect certain demands from the environment to which they are adapted. So my research, by focusing on different aging trajectories, may tell us more about how humans age and how humans have been designed to age by natural selection as one of the possible influences. I think we scientists have to make a commitment to really bring our results to the community. I place a lot of emphasis during my research in the indigenous communities and in the non-indigenous communities in Argentina to partner with the community. So I see myself as their partner in making their needs, their public health needs, or their particular sociocultural dimension be brought up to the policymakers. So we engage in a lot of dialogue with community leaders, with, for example, the public health sector in the province of Formosa. We work together with the director of the local health center to try to be a broker sometimes and translate what's going on in the community, but what is our findings and how that can be brought down to their particular reality. As an example, we found out that Toba babies that are exclusively breastfed for a long time and they keep breastfeeding until they are 2-3 years of age have a very particular growth trajectory. So they gain a lot of weight during their first 6 months of age. They're beautiful, cheeky, chubby babies. And they go to the local health centers and they look at the standard curves and say, well, your child is overweight, so you should cut down on feeding. And that made absolutely no sense. So in engaging the local doctors, in dialogue with the communities, and be a little bit of a catalyzer of that dialogue, we can modify certain things that don't make sense for the particular region or for the particular culture. And I really devote a lot of my time there in trying to engage in this important dialogue.